Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and I'm here today with the Pod Go Wireless Edition. If you watched this channel for a while, thank you for being longtime supporters. Last year in October, probably October, we did a series of videos on the wired version of the Pod Go. We did a deep dive into all of the sounds, made some patches, went through some presets, had some fun with it. And then I gave it to Andrew as a birthday present. That's the podcast co-host. Yes, there's a podcast. I recommend checking it out. Well, I've been working with Yamaha and Line 6 for a little bit, and they're like, you should check out the wireless version of the Pod Go. And I said, yes, please. I love the idea of wireless units. I've never actually had or used one. So it's a little bit, skeptical, I guess. I don't want to say skeptical. I was curious. I was optimistic. I was hopeful. But, there are things you worry about in wireless. You worry primarily about two things. Interference, that is that there will be like other noises that could potentially interfere with your sound, or that something will get between you and your sound. Think like sometimes you hear like cell phone interference, like a sound, that's interference, or just your sound getting interrupted because something comes between you and your sound. Those things happen. So that's one thing you worry about. You worry also about latency, and latency is the time it takes from a wireless thing to transmitter to get to the receiver. That's what latency is. And if you ever watch like a TikTok video on, or if you ever watch a video on Bluetooth headphones, especially cheap Bluetooth headphones or old Bluetooth headphones, and there's a noticeable difference between when the person's lips move and when you hear what you hear, that's latency. So, I would kind of think that if you're listening to this, you know enough about audio to know what latency is, but if you don't, there you go. So those were two things I was kind of worried about, but I also kind of figured if Line 6 was selling wireless units as they have for a long time, they figured out those issues. So, I got this, and I was so stoked to try it. But by the time I got it, I only had one show left with my band, Sunday Crush, by the end of the year. So I hunkered down, I made some presets, made some snapshots, and I got to play it at my at my last Sunday Crush show of 2021. And here is some actual footage of me using that. Here it is. Check it out. Yep, I did it. I used it at the last Sunday Crush show of 2021. I got up on that table. I had fun. I like to do that at my shows. I like to get into the audience. I try to wrangle the crowd at the bigger shows, and I'll be damned, it worked. It worked great. And, it was a smaller venue, but I wanted to, even so, make sure it worked. So during sound check, what I did was I got up, I walked around the venue, I walked through the actual restaurant, and just to make sure I could still hear myself. But even before I left my house, I was down here on the first floor. And before you get uppity about how I live in a townhouse, so it's narrow, but it's tall. And I got all the way up to the third floor. That's the top floor. And it still worked. I had my husband stay downstairs. I'm like, tell me if you hear any interference. And this is not even like rated for that. So, yeah, this thing had more than enough range for me on it. I did not notice any latency. The responsiveness was perfect. So as far as all my worries, I didn't experience anything I worried about. I didn't have any issues with any interference. I wasn't using any other wireless systems, so no in-ear monitors or anything like that. I think that they were using a digital mixing system, so there's probably some Wi-Fi going on, but again, no interference on the system. So that was pretty neat. So the receiver, they have a little nesting place for it, and let me pull it out here. And it charges in this little port. But you never want to charge, this is very important. You never want to put it in this charging port while it's unplugged. So let's plug it in. Moving to my other camera, Shimura. Let me make sure I plug this guy in. I'm going to kind of show you some things, because last time I did a video, I don't think I walked through some elements that I ended up using a lot in the actual show. If you were watching the video, which I think you did, you saw before my big solo, I hit a foot switch, and what I did was I switched to a snapshot, a louder, higher gain snapshot. Basically, I turned the boost on and up to my gain a little bit. But I have another song in Sunday Crush where I go between, basically during the chorus, I turn a chorus pedal on. And normally it's Caroline Somersault, it's sort of like their Havoc switch, and I max the rate and the depth. So to emulate that, what I would do on this is I would set a snapshot where I basically turn a rotary on. And that's kind of what I did here, because I did just fast. I'm like, that sounds good. I like that. I'm going to use that. So I'm going to show you how I did that and a couple of other things. What I really liked on this were the different views. So you see it's charging, and I have the wireless guy plugged in and charging. You can kind of see that. Let me pull it down a little bit so you can see that better. All right. So I have my presets named. Mode is how you see the different views there. So I have a couple banks. I named them all. So we have in this bank, Classic Lover, Hey Sandy, Rainbow, Good Boy, Upper Bank, Lick, Green Dude, and Heartbreaker, Gold Dust Woman. That's from from something else I did. So let's go, you see that little snapshotty guy, but let's first look at the mode just in general. Well, that was, yeah. So now we're in the mode, and that just shows you, it would be the very easy way to turn effects on and off, would be this mode. So this is very simply like turning a pedal on and turning a pedal off. So I have my spring reverb on, now I have it off, my deluxe comp, and you can see it lit up really nicely around the rings. That's fantastic for when you're just sitting on a dark stage. That's really nice, and have the color coordination. Also, it's coordinated to where it is there. And obviously I don't have all 6 spots lit up here. So my EQ on off, and you can see kind of where they are in the chain up there. I obviously don't have the FX loop on. Nothing there. Comp. Vibe rotary is sort of what I want to really get into here for this particular demo in the snapshots. So if we go into view, that's a better look at what the actual signal chain I've built up looks like. And that's what we're going to edit in the snapshot. So I'm going to go back to view, go back to mode, and the camera, I'm in snapshot 1, and you can have up to 4 snapshots, but you need to enter the snapshot mode to access them. And so the difference between, so if you just want to have like a normal sort of analog pedal board interaction, this is your mode. So I have everything set the way I want to set it, and I just maybe want to turn things on and off, and that's my comfort level. This is your mode. And I used this a lot for that first show, and that's what I was comfortable with. Snapshots are like if I want to change a couple things at once. So if I simultaneously want to turn on one effect and crank another effect and turn down one effect but not turn it off, snapshots will enable you to do that. So I'm going to go back to this view. I'm going to hit the up and down arrows at the same time, and now I'm in my snapshot mode. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to hit view. Sorry about that. So in this, I am going to turn my rotary off. Because I just don't want it in the normal parts of the song. Now I'm going to go to B. I'm going to turn the rotary on, because I do want it in the chorus. But let's say that in some parts of the song, I don't want the rotary on as much. So I'm going to go over to the rotary, and I am going to go to page 2, and I'm going to turn the mix down some. So I just don't want as much of it. But I definitely want some distortion. Oops. And I haven't really turned any of that on yet. So I'm going to go to my Dyna drive, and I'm going to add that. Oh, yes. I like that. And I just want those 3 snapshots. I'm going to go back over here. So I added something, and it turned it on to all of the snapshots. So now I have these 4 snapshots for Good Boy. And I like them. And then you save your preset to save your snapshot. Easy. So now I'm going to go back to mode. Oh. I'm going to hit view. My bad. All right. So now I'm back in view, and as I go through my snapshots, you can see the little lights change through all of those up there. So you can really see visually that those are changing, but we really want to hear it. So how about I plug in the Podgo, and we see what those changes actually sound like. All right, I'm back. I'm in the snapshot view. You can see that hopefully up there. And I'm going to play through the snapshots for you. You can see the signal chain up in the corner there. Let's hear how it sounds. Please forgive me, I'm on a wobbly bench. I got my Rev Star, and I'm really excited about it. Whoops. And then the chorus, I would go to B. Then the bridge gets angry. If I decide that's not angry enough, I can just go back to view, go in my distortion, turn up the gain, maybe turn up the volume. I think it sounds goofy with the rotary like that. I can change it. Yeah, I think that sounds better, so I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go back to the view. Nice. So those were snapshots, and just look at the different views. Before I let you go, there's one more thing I want to show you, because it actually did take me a hot minute to figure this one out. I probably should cover this first, but it is important, and took me a second. Before you set any of the fun stuff, before you set your amp, you might be like, why am I not getting signal? Is my volume not up? No, my volume is up. I'm plugged in. I have charge. Why am I not getting a signal? So you're going to scroll all the way over to input and set it to wireless. Sorry if that clipped there. I have not set did not set the volume on the amp I had selected. Don't judge me too harshly for that. Well, that is my look at the PodGo wireless. I've been having a lot of fun with it, obviously. I really enjoyed having it for that show. I've also really enjoyed taking it to some practices. I used it for rehearsals for a project I was doing called Kim's Covers. That we opened for. That was my Halloween gig that you might have heard about. So it was really cool. I loved it for that, especially because though I did end up using just a standard pedal board for that, for the rehearsals especially, I love just being able to throw that in a backpack and taking that with me, because we had so many different sounds to bounce between. For the covers, so to go between covering Blue Oyster Cult, everyone in my family hates the way I say oyster. I know that's not the right way. Blue Oyster Cult, the Rolling Stones, all of that. Especially, it took me weeks to find my wah pedal. So there is a wah pedal right there, and all that stuff. So to be able to have that for practices especially was just so phenomenal, especially when I'm, trying to not rely too heavily on a car, living in a city, and having a one-car family. It's great. I use, as for the Sunday Crush gig, I use the power cab on the flat setting, and I use the cab and amp sims there. Next time I might use the cab sims. I've been kind of playing with the cab sims on the power cab, and they sound really, really great. So next time you hear that thing, you're probably going to be hearing some of the built-in cab sims mic'd up instead of DI'd. So be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be fun. What else do I have to say about this other than it's really just been a blast. The amount of sounds that are in this that are really, really phenomenal is super duper impressive. Nobody had a bad thing to say about my tone. I was watching through the videos. My husband took a lot of videos of my Sunday Crush gig, and I was like, damn, that thing sounded good, and it was powerful. My band liked it. It's, easy. It feels more analog than you would think it would. It's still, I know it doesn't feel like menu diving like MIDI can feel. You're still yeah, you're selecting a bunch of options, but you're still turning dials. It's very tactile like that, and I'm very much like twisting knobs. So it's very much a middle ground between something that is a digital effect and something for somebody who really likes twisting knobs. And I really, really like that about the Podgo. Yeah, it's not too brainy for me, and there's a lot of good and cool sounds in it. So that's what I've got to say. Check out our affiliate links. We have them for Sweetwater and Reverb.com. Using those links helps the show tremendously. It's a great way to show support. Another great way to show support is to subscribe to this channel. Liking and commenting is also helpful. We have merch at getoffsetpodcast.com/shop. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/getoffset. Thanks for watching and thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.